Hi, it's Dwyer. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. Also, keepingitfree.blogspot.com, a free site. Also, wealthspinning.blogspot.com, a free site. Today is December 4th, 2024. Let's give a perspective update on some parts of the market. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Also, warning, I want everyone here to do their own due diligence. Nothing I say in this video should be construed as investment advice. You're making a big mistake if you don't yourself look at the numbers, look at the trends, have some economic ratios, such as the Buffett indicator that you refer to in coming to your views on how healthy or unhealthy the economy is. Now, let me make a few points here. You know, during Thomas Edison's lifetime, Tesla, the inventor, was not viewed with the same level of admiration. Edison was viewed as the big genius, not Tesla. It's only because entrepreneur Elon Musk has corrected that historical inaccuracy that today we assume Tesla was given his props back when he lived. He wasn't, folks. This is really a Vincent van Gogh situation where the guy's work was really discovered after he passed on. In other words, markets are inefficient. In the moment, we sometimes can't appreciate the greatness of an inventor or an idea. So years ago, I was here online, the video's still up, talking about an obscure cryptocurrency that at the time was called Darkcoin. Right? Darkcoin later became Dash. There came a moment in time where Dash, which was cutting edge at the time, debuted a concept that was unknown in crypto. The idea of a master node. Right? You hold a certain number of coins, you stake them, you get a rate of return just based on supporting the network. Right? So, of course, Dash people were excited. The master node debuted. I was anxious. I thought, wow, this is a big moment in time. And folks, the market was flat. Look at the historical charts. They're still up. Right? The market was flat. People didn't understand the masternode concept, just like they didn't understand Tesla. Right? Well, now if you're into crypto, you understand that the masternode concept is one of the big breakthroughs in the digital asset world. Right? Folks, the news that's being broadcast on radio, on most websites, overlook some key moments. Just understand that Dash is still with us. Just understand that Dash is still cutting edge. Just Google Dash evolution. Folks, believe it or not, that's now a reality. So what I want people to do is to pull up the Dash chart for the last 2 months. Right? If you own a Dash masternode, just understand that over the last 2 months or so, you've quietly made, at a time when Dash is not all over the news, when people still don't know much about the coin, when the coin remains outside the top 100 of market values for digital assets, If you owned a Dash masternode without doing anything other than maintaining the masternode over the last 2 months, you should have cleared over $25,000. Folks, it's passive income, right? As Warren Buffett says, if you don't know how to make passive income, you're going to work until you die, right? Just understand something else too. You know how people have figured out how to use QR codes, but you understand that they're inconvenient in terms of sending money and stuff like that. I actually have to have my phone close to yours, right? Cash App people know what I'm talking about. I have to have my phone close to yours so my phone can, scan your QR code to get your address, because your crypto address is some long string of numbers and letters, right? It's impossible to simply ask someone for their crypto address and make it simple. Person starts talking about 1ZTHON, by the time they get to the 8th digit, you're going to say, player, it's okay. Just email it to me, or the next time I see you, hit me up with your QR code. Would it shock you to know that because of Dash evolution today on the Dash Pay wallet on your phone, right, for a price, one-time fee of less than $2, if you're using the Dash Pay wallet, you can get a username, right, that anyone can use to send you money, right? It could be Bob123. Understand, this is new. There's going to be a gold rush once businesses figure out that, let's say you're McDonald's, you can apply for the username of McDonald's on Dash Pay, right? This is like when the email system first hit the net and you were able to grab the email addresses you wanted, or you were able to grab the web addresses you wanted, right? Stansberry Research's Eric Wade grabbed the address wallstreet.com. Suddenly, Wall Street firms started calling him. They wanted that address. It made him a lot of money. Well, folks, you have that right now on Dash. So understand, if you have that mom who is phobic to digital assets, right? She saw her address, long list of numbers and letters, capital letters, lowercase letters, and she got intimidated. Now you can put her on Dash, and she can have an easy username, right? Valerie, 77. That kid in college who is headstrong but who has a phone, who you can convince to have a Dash wallet. And understand, you can, shape-shift the form of your digital assets, particularly if you are aware of uphold.com, for example, or I can, change my Dash into Bitcoin with just a few clicks. Well, just understand that kid at college, right, Susie Q, you can convince her to get a username, Susie Q123. So, if you're making a video here on YouTube and you think to yourself, you know what, I want to make sure Susie Q has some money to pay for school, I can just quickly send her, using the Dash Pay mobile wallet, the money just by punching in her username, which is far easier to remember than a traditional digital asset address. Well, Gil Scott-Heron famously said the revolution will not be televised. How many of you watching this video knew that Dash has been exploding over the last 2 months, that the Dash people around you are making money hand over fist, and that Dash has a technological edge right now in terms of username capability, that it's going to take other cryptos a very long time to match. right? So do your own research. Don't rely on public news sources. Certainly don't rely on cable news, on TV, right? YouTube does a better job, but even on YouTube, there are blind spots. What you want to do is you want to do your own research. You want to realize that there are going to be times when groundbreaking technology debuts and the market doesn't move. No one understands it. No one knows of it for years until someone like an Elon Musk steps out of the darkness and names his company after you. Right? So crypto's exploding. If you think Bitcoin is the only thing going on in crypto right now, you are missing 99% of the story. Now let's shift gears. Right? Let me also point out too that I have a crypto Substack page. That Substack page is Dwyer70905.substack.com. Again, Dwyer70905.substack.com. The Dwyer70905 is my YouTube ID. It's the same ID, just with .substack.com. Now, you know my basic thesis. We're hearing, as we did in the 30s with FDR, when the Depression had several years to run, we're hearing that happy days are here again. Right? Donald Trump has now gotten another term as president. He's threatening everyone with tariffs. Folks, I just want to be unequivocal here. I don't want anyone to get confused as they watch this video. Tariffs are a mind-blowingly bad idea. Tariffs, and I've mentioned this in video after video, however politically advantageous the idea of supporting tariffs is, it is extremely bad for the consumer. You're seeing that now, right? Canada is threatening us with tariffs. Mexico is threatening us with tariffs. China is threatening us with tariffs. The person paying the tariff, of course, is going to be you, the consumer. Right, folks? There's a reason why the United States, which used to rely on tariffs for revenue, moved away from that preposterous idea. The savviest economic minds around Donald Trump, and I'm not saying I know it all when it comes to economics, but just like I can tell you water is wet, right? Even a dilettante like myself knows that tariffs are bad, right? What I want people to do is to not focus on what Trump has to say on tariffs. Focus on what Art Laffer has to say on tariffs. You might remember Art Laffer, supply side economics, one of the economic gurus helping Ronald Reagan. Right? Young people should also look at Laffer's lifestyle. Laffer doesn't want to be anybody's employee. Right? Laffer always talks about how when he's helping these politicians, he helped Jerry Brown, Governor Moonbeam from California. Right? Laffer is always just an advisor. He doesn't want a steady gig. He always wants his autonomy. Right? He doesn't want someone to have the capability to fire him. Right? The idea is simply, I'm Art Laffer. I'm telling you what I think. Right? And of course, Art Laffer went to great schools, has a tremendous pedigree, right? But he's not here to pander. Trump is just another politician in a long line of influential politicians. Ronald Reagan, for example, that Art Laffer is giving advice. Now, Art Laffer knows. He'll tell you bluntly, as blunt as Snoop Dogg in that Blunt commercial, right? He'll tell you tariffs are a bad idea, right? But he believes that Trump is using the idea of tariffs as a way to get free trade. I don't, right? I know a sizable group of my users are Trump supporters, right? I'm not criticizing MAGA Nation, right? I voted for the Libertarian candidate this time around, right? Not afraid to say it. I've said it in countless videos. But just understand, folks, any setup that hides from you, the low-cost provider, at a time when inflation is a big issue for many, right? Inflation is a big issue for working class and middle class and poor people, right? Food prices going up is a big issue. If you're worried about inflation, you can't support any tariff system that's going to distort markets and hide the low-cost provider. We should be celebrating the low-cost provider, not hiding them from the public. So understand, if the low-cost provider is from Canada, it's from Mexico, it's from China, you, the American consumer, should have access to their goods and services because, by definition, they are saving you money. You're getting things at a lower cost than you could elsewhere. Why would I burn my money on some higher cost local product if I can save that money by getting a lower cost product of equal quality? Right? Understand, if the concern is that I'm eliminating manufacturing jobs locally, well, understand, with the profits I make from buying the low-cost product, I can then reinvest that at my discretion into the local economy. Let me make another point, and this is more foundational. Right? If you think we can go back to the 1950s and suddenly create all these local manufacturing jobs at a time of robotics, right? One of the biggest robotics people, by the way, in the world is one of Trump's right-hand men, the head of Doge, Elon Musk. Right? Figure out the lay of the land. They say in South Korea right now, 10% of the workers are robots. Folks, the robotic revolution is already here. You don't even know, as you're in the drive-thru at some fast food restaurant, whether you're talking to a human or whether you're talking to SoundCloud. Right? Here online, folks, you can have conversations with Microsoft Copilot or Google Gemini. Right, folks? That's not where the world's going. That's where the world is right now. Track the Magnificent Seven. At a time when they were making profits, when their profits were increasing, many of them were laying off workers. So this idea that you support tariffs and suddenly the rust is knocked off of local 1950s era factories, and that Americans are going to take those jobs, and that we're going to be a safer country because, of course, more people are working and will control the manufacturing process. Right? At a time when internationally people in Vietnam are getting paid a fraction of what we here in the United States are being paid. You're kidding yourself. Right? Have you heard of 3D printing? Folks, understand, many professions are being disintermediated. I was talking to my 9-year-old yesterday. I said, baby, what did you do in school today? And she said, Dad, we were writing computer code. Right now, I'm an old timer. I heard that. I said, wow, that sounds impressive. I had to bite my tongue. I didn't want to tell her that AI has disintermediated writing computer code. That artificial intelligence, as Jim Rickards points out, mainly math, right, has found a way to write computer code. Just think about what AI has disintermediated already. You have websites here online, right? Stansberry Research, seekingalpha.com, where you're on the website, you hit a button, and of course, your computer starts reading the article to you. You don't even have to read the articles anymore. Understand what AI can do in terms of voice production. If you have the right software, as your computer reads to you, you can hit a button, change the gender of the speaker. You can give the speaker a local accent. So understand, if you're a voiceover actor, if you're an actor who's gotten by for years, lending your voice to cartoons and stuff like that, and don't get me wrong, I understand that there is money to be made by saying, hey, Ben Stiller or Eddie Murphy is in this cartoon doing a voiceover. Folks, AI, as you can imagine, could knock off their voices now. Change it just enough so they can't be sued. I don't have to hire a voiceover actor anymore. AI has taken that capability and has commoditized it. So you can imagine how ridiculous it would be to come up with a tariff system to protect voiceover actors at a time when AI can provide that service for you. Well, folks, we're slapping tariffs on things, thinking we're creating American jobs at a time when robots can do that far more cheaply. Right? So I need for folks to just understand the real world we live in. This morning, GM announced that they're going to have to take a multi-billion-dollar write-off. Right this morning. Look at how GM's doing. Look at how Ford is doing. Folks, a lot of these car companies are taking write-offs. Has anyone noticed that? Volkswagen in Germany, look at how they're doing. Right? Let me point out too, and this needs to be said. I'm all for Doge coming in. We need outsiders to come in, even if it's an advisory board, to cut government, because it's clear the politicians can't do it. Right? I need for folks to understand, too, the full extent of the debt crisis. The federal debt here in the United States is now more than $36 trillion. You understand that that federal debt is just a drop in the bucket on the total debt. You have a lot of pension holders whose pension funds are underfunded right now, who are to get the money from the state, right? Understand, if you're in Illinois, I doubt the governor of Illinois, who I understand is very wealthy, I doubt he or people like the mayor of Chicago, a socialist, are going to hold a press conference and say, you know what, our pension plans are underfunded. Folks, they are. Right? Just like they are in places like Kentucky. You can't print money in Illinois, right? Illinois can't do the trick the Fed does, right? Have Janet Yellen suddenly out there, finding ways to come up with a bigger money supply, right? So just understand, you have state debt. You have, as the people in New York City know, you have city debt. right? As bankers know, you have bank debt, right, folks? Commercial real estate in several cities is an ongoing disaster. They just haven't handed you the bill yet, right? We all know that a lot of these commercial real estate properties have dropped in value. We all know that the owner can't roll over the loan. Folks, somebody's going to take the loss. You understand, it might be your bank. You think the banking system, which already paid out on Silicon Valley Bank, is going to be able to pay out on all the bank defaults that are going to take place? You don't think they're going to have to just print money to make up that shortfall? Let's think about Silicon Valley Bank for a moment here. The United States is a big country, right? 50 states plus other territories. Think about it. Silicon Valley, one of the richest regions in the entire country. Now the bank goes under. Here's a shocker. Many of the entrepreneurs with accounts at the bank were uninsured. They didn't split the accounts up to come within federal insurance guidelines. So what do? This is the wealthiest bank. This isn't a blue-collar bank. This is a wealthy bank holding a lot of investment funds. You know what happens. There's a bank run. These people are more politically connected than blue-collar workers, right? Understand what the Biden administration did. Rather than say to people what your insurance company would say to you, player, will pay you up to your level of insurance, right? After that, it's going to be a bankruptcy type situation where if there's money, we'll dole it out through some legal process. Rather than do that, they actually made everyone whole. People like Bill Ackman, big-time hedge fund guy, was urging people to make the Silicon Valley Bank people whole. Right now, I mentioned Bill Ackman's name because he's one of the people who is rumored to be getting involved in Doge. Right, folks? Let's keep a close eye on all these billionaires who are getting involved in Doge, because I am concerned about the idea of big business having too much influence. Right? Think about it. We're slapping tariffs on companies like electric vehicle maker BYD from China. Right? It's 1211 on the HKG. If you're looking for the symbol. When I say BYD, I'm not talking about Boyd Gaming, right? To the gamblers, right? Nothing wrong with Boyd Gaming. We're talking about an electric vehicle company here. Just understand, BYD is one of the biggest electric vehicle makers in the world. If you're in the EV market, you want companies like Tesla to have serious competition, don't you? You want all these established market participants historically, Ford, for example, to face foreign competition. You don't want to be hostage to your domestic market, do you? Doesn't it concern you that you have a BYD competitor, Elon Musk, right? Involved in government, in an administration that's levying tariffs on everyone. Folks, I don't want low-cost providers hidden by tariffs. When I go shopping, I want to know what the cheapest option is. I don't want that hidden by some tariff that I have to pay, where they just slap 25% extra on the cost of things. So I look at a Tesla car, I look at a BYD car, and I don't know that at the same level of features, the BYD car should actually be cheaper than the Tesla car. Right? So let me close with this. What I want people to do in looking at the economy, besides looking at the threw off my train of thought here. Besides looking at the Buffett indicator and the Case-Shiller index, what I want people to do, just as a shorthand way to quickly investigate how healthy the market is rather than rely on YouTubers like me. In the comment section of this video, I'm going to put a link to the copper-gold ratio. Again, the copper-gold ratio. Now, what I want people to do, and it'll have on that chart the S&P 500. So you'll be able to look at how stock prices compare to the copper-gold ratio. Understand, in bullish times, copper's in big demand. Right? People are building things. They need copper, right? Copper pipes, etc. You know, if you're in construction, the value of copper. So the copper-gold ratio should be rising as the S&P 500's rising, right? If it's bullish, then one would imagine, oh, you know what? Everyone's going to be in fiat currency, right? Everyone's going to be in copper. People aren't going to be leaving the fiat system to invest in gold, the denominator, and the copper-gold ratio, right? Because they're going to have faith in the economy. Gold doesn't pay a dividend. We all understand that with fiat currency, they're giving you interest, right? I can do things like invest in T-bills or 10-year bonds or 30-year bonds, and I can get a rate of return, right? The copper-gold ratio should be bullish, particularly at the current elevated stock prices, right? What are we at? 200% on the Buffett indicator? At these rates, this should feel like a bull market. There should be a lot of money velocity, shouldn't there? Where, you know, dollars are flying around the neighborhood, right? I go to the barber, we'll pretend I have hair. I go to the barber, I give the barber money for the haircut. The barber, of course, turns around, gives money to his landlord. The landlord, of course, turns around, gives money to the contractor to, you know, paint the place and stuff like that, gives some money to the real estate management company. They turn around, they give money to employees. All of this money comes back into the economy, right? Some of their employees say, hey, let me get my hair fixed up. They go back to the barber. It could be the same dollar going around. That's what happens in bull markets. Folks, money velocity is down. It's anemic by historical standards. Folks, the copper-gold ratio isn't close to corresponding with the S&P 500. Right, folks? The economy, in my opinion, is on life support. Right? You should believe the current public sentiment about happy days are here again and stuff like that, like you believed it in the 1930s, when we still had several more years of depression ahead of us. Right, folks? People are losing their jobs, in part because of a soft economy, in part because of artificial intelligence. Right? Just understand, they had an actor strike in Southern California. And of course, the people behind the strike wanted assurances that technology would not supplant them. In a global market where movies are made in several countries, how could anyone give you a promise like that? Right? I can tell you, I made some videos here where I thought, you know what? I'm tired of looking at myself on these YouTube videos. So I had an avatar, right? Same voice. It was my content. I thought, great, people could get my content. Folks were up in arms. Well, understand, in a couple of years, that avatar is going to actually look like me. It's not going to be an obvious cartoon. Right? Users won't be able to tell whether it's me or an avatar. Understand, I won't even have to record my voice. I can clone my voice and actually just write a script and have the AI system show me and actually sound like me in giving my content. That's the world we live in now. Tariffs are not going to change it. All of us, in my opinion, should be demanding access to low-cost providers, access to savings. We shouldn't be paying the taxes that tariffs really are, particularly in these economically vulnerable times. Right? There are people out there who believe in the housing market. I have a housing site, housing777.blogspot.com. Folks, you're kidding yourself. When people start losing jobs, when the economic cycle goes through slower times, that's why we have cycles. That's why we call it an economic cycle. There is no way these housing multiples, right, median income times whatever it takes to buy the local house, are going to be self-sustaining. Right? Be cautious. Understand. There will be winners and there will be losers. I do believe that cryptocurrency is going to be a big winner. Some cryptos. Not all cryptos. Right? But I do believe that there'll be pockets of winners out there, just like there was in the 1930s. But don't assume that the economy is going to be rising, right? Look at how flat the economy was from the mid-30s to the early 50s. That should be your model. Those are my thoughts this December 4th, 2024. I encourage you to share yours in the comments section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.